Mikasa Sukasa. You Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Look like Eddie Guerrero, man. You like to watch wrestling?
Yep.
Have you ever watched wrestling? On weed? That's the way to see it, man! It's rock!
What up, world? You know what time it is. It's your boy Physics, and you know what time it is. It is February 9th, Welcome to another WoW News Joint. On today's episode, we're talking about the forbidden door that Tony Khan says is open, Nia Jaxx, dry snitching, and more right after this.
Really? This is my yard now. It doesn't matter what your name is.
What up, Wild Nation? Once again, thank you for being here. Shout out to Gruss that's in the building. The super villain of the IWC is up in here, kicking it with physics. If you're watching this, make sure to hit those comments below or hit us in the chat if you're watching this live. Or if you're watching this in the comments, let us know what you think about every news story that we are talking about today. Hit that notification bell and make sure to subscribe to know what's going on in the world of wrestling. But for our first segment, Tony Khan says the forbidden door is open and we're in store for something big tonight. On February 4th, Tony Khan went to his Twitter to start bragging about something that was going on. It first started with him saying, as reference on AEW Rampage, I have a surprise. On AEW Dynamite Live on TBS Network, a top wrestler will walk through the forbidden door this Wednesday and debut in AEW. More info to come. Thank you to everyone who joined us for a great Rampage tonight. See you Wednesday on TBS. This was followed by the forbidden door could be open for anyone from any wrestling promotion in the world, whether or not it's a company AEW is on good terms with. Even if it's someone from a company that's open for business, they're also welcome to slam the door in the face of their prior company. He kept following things up with a great showing in tonight's AEW Rampage. TNT title by Isaiah Cassidy has earned a qualifying match for a spot in the face of the Revolution ladder match with a TNT title shot at stake. His opponent will debut Wednesday and sign a contract with AEW. Isaiah verse ? On AEW Dynamite. And then the next day, he said the big announcement for Wednesday's Dynamite that we reference on AEW Rampage, a free agent debut, and a person walking through the forbidden door are one and the same. They're walking the door, signing a contract, and then slamming the door shut Wednesday on AEW Dynamite. So once everybody started seeing this, the rumors started flying. He also stated in an interview with Sports Illustrated, it is a huge sign for us, have created some debate about what it means to open the forbidden door, and that's what we are going to do on this show. The fans are going to get a great night of wrestling, and I hope everyone is surprised and comes back for the matches this sets up. So who could this be? Some signs point to Jeff Hardy. As we know, WWE is currently trying their best to keep Jeff Hardy from AEW. They wanted him in the Rumble and offered him the Hall of Fame, but he turned both down. If you don't remember, he was let go late last year after having a house show where he looked like he was really discombobulated. Of course, with everything in his past history, they were wondering if it was drugs. They made him do a drug test. During that time period, they fired him. Once he was fired, as Matt Hardy stated, that Jeff wanted to get the drug test back to vindicate that nothing was going on. He also turned down going to rehab because he felt nothing was wrong. It took a hot minute. He got it back, showed that nothing was wrong. And for what it's worth, Matt Hardy claimed on his Twitch that Jeff Hardy turned down WWE's Hall of Fame offer, at least in part because Jeff asked if Matt will be going in with him, and they said no. I'm pretty sure that was the reason for that is because Matt Hardy is working with AEW, and they didn't want that. But the thing is, Jeff Hardy should never go into the Hall of Fame without going with Matt Hardy. They go in first, and if you want to give them individual accolades, which will only really go to Jeff as far as WWE is concerned, you got to have them going first. So the rumors started swirling about that. We also have the Young Bucks switching their bio into bring us Jeff Hardy. So everything's going on along with what they're saying now, but the Hardys been teasing this since December, so this is nothing new. And possibly could it be anybody else? Looking at the comments we have, Daniel Price says there is no forbidden door. New rule: anyone says that gets punched in the mouth. I see people are tired of that. We got Arby saying Jeff Hardy makes sense. Gruss says it would be Scotty Too Hottie. That's how Tony Khan rolls. Arby James says Jeff wants to be fired. And then we have Daniel Price saying, well, no, Hardy wanted to be fired, hence he walked out on the job in front of a crowd like a child and left his co-workers hanging. Well, regarding Tony Khan's surprise debut for Wrestling Dynamite, Fightful select sources on the AEW roster don't know who it is, but are expecting it to be Keith Lee. Both Fightful and Wrestler Observer say it's almost definitely not Jeff Hardy due to the amount of time left on his non-compete. Johnny Gargano is a possibility, but he is a free agent as well. Now let's talk about the crazy rumors of who it can be and their ties to McMahon. And those super crazy rumors are Shane McMahon and Triple H. As we know, with everything going on with Shane McMahon, he was quietly let go due to everything that happened with the Royal Rumble. He was the producer of the Royal Rumble. It was considered one of the most boring Royal Rumbles. There was things that he wanted to do. He wanted to get his stuff in, and that didn't happen. And he threw a hissy fit. So they took him off of everything that he was supposed to do in the Elimination Chamber and everything he was supposed to do in WrestleMania. And right now, WWE is scrambling due to that. Of course, with Triple H, he's still working with them. So if he walked through that door, I don't know what the hell would happen. But he's not a competitor. So the whole Triple H thing that was going on Reddit, that Triple H was a possibility. He technically can't wrestle. From everything that was talked about as far as his health, he wouldn't be able to wrestle. And if he could wrestle, he would have shown up at the Royal Rumble. Because WWE wanted something big. That exactly what would have happened. If the Shane thing happened, that wouldn't be crazy. Due to everything going on at that moment. Ira Jane says Shane is all elite. I feel like that would be the craziest thing, but then I feel like you're messing with the wrong thing. Having Shane McMahon there, I don't think Tony Khan would be able to control that man. Kid Get Money said, remember when the son almost got fired for smoking weed on a job on Next Day Air? Yeah. Something like that. But yeah, that's everything's going down tonight on Dynamite of who it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be Keith Lee. When I first started coming back, we brought up about him getting his trademarks right, getting his limitless stuff. So it just seems like it will be him. They got a lot in the store, so it just sounds like that. Even though it doesn't really make sense if it's him, because the whole closing the door, he was let go. The door's already been closed as far as him and WWE, unless he's been in talks of going back to WWE, i.e., how things were with Samoa Joe. But also, we haven't talked about Samoa Joe, so it possibly could be him. Because if you remember, Samoa Joe was let go one time, and then a few weeks later was brought back. Then that man was in a championship program. It just went from there. So it's possible he could be anybody, but I'm leaning more towards Keith Lee. Now, let's talk about Nia Jaxx and her dry snitching. Somebody must have not told her, but the feds are watching. And you might want to watch what you're saying online. When Nia Jaxx was released from WWE last November, one of the reasons, as we came to learn, was the fact that she refused to get a COVID-19 vaccine. I stated that way back then. I didn't even have the information, but it just seemed like due to WWE wanting to be in more arenas and due to most arenas going, if you're going to be backstage, where we also have our athletes and the people that work every day here, we need to keep everybody safe. So if people are going to be running around backstage, they all need to be vaccinated. And it just seemed like she was missing shows a lot for those type of arenas, and makes you go, As she said it, Vince McMahon told her she wouldn't be able to fulfill some of her contractual obligations if she didn't get vaccinated, and she stood her ground. This past February 4th, she wrote, ha 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 ha. I stand by that too. Honey, if you really think that all your favorites don't feel the same as I do, you're sadly mistaken. I know a lot of people in many professional sports that just paid and got a real card from a doctor. So she basically says she has information that people are falsifying vaccine cards, which is a federal offense. Also worth knowing, she doesn't make clear if this is just about the WWE or all sports. Either way, it's quite a very explosive allegation to throw out there, and I wouldn't be surprised if she gets a knock on her door about, hey, who are these people? and please tell us who they are, so we can do a sweep. Because when you tweet stuff like that and you have as big of a following, you might want to get your lawyers on a call, because that's why would you do that? It's quite stupid. Also, for the fact that you have, a blood relative that dealt with, leukemia. We know he's vaccinated because he didn't even want to come around anybody due to he didn't want to get sick because of what his health issues are. And you're bragging about knowing there's a bunch of people. You might want to be able to tell him who those bunch of people are, especially if they are in the WWE, so he doesn't put his life in jeopardy because you wanted to prove a point. And then she wrote, Nia believed a certain orange person like her cousin did. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And the thing is, I have no idea. Like, Nia's doing all this stuff. I don't understand what she's going to be trying to do in the future. Most wrestling promotions are not going to take her because they want to be able to travel. And if they're going to be able to travel, they need to either know this person is vaccinated for real, so that they don't put everybody at risk and then they have to shut down. So I don't see her wrestling again. She in the past said she wanted to act, but this is the thing. Most sets, since I know people that are on sets, almost everybody's vaccinated. You get tested daily. How's she even going to get on set? Like, I have no idea what she's going to do. So I have no idea what she's going to do. And what would say Nia Jaxx was underrated. Always liked her. Like, she was decent. I feel like she needed more time in NXT before they brought her up. She had a decent program with Asuka and everything going on there. But I mean, I feel like she wants to stand her ground and slightly burn bridges. That's exactly what she wants to do. So hey, if she wants to go from there, that's what she wants to do. I just don't know what she's gonna do from here on out. Just seems like she just put herself in a corner for no reason, and she's trying to prove that it's not bothering her, but I feel like it's bothering her. So, homegirl, don't be surprised if you get a call from the feds asking, what do you know? And the thing is, you can't lie, because if you do, then they'll definitely double back and then make sure you have jail time, because they don't like people lying to them and they like to get shit done. So, wish the best of luck to you. All right, for some schedule change, the NBA All-Star Game changes some of AEW's schedule. TNT lists Rampage as airing at 7 p.m. Eastern on February 18th to accommodate the Rising Stars tournament, set to begin at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. Rampage will return to its usual time slot the following week. If you haven't paid attention, both WWE and AEW are all over the place. AEW's been jumping to TBS, which is going to be their eventual home later this year. Right now, we have WWE on Sci-Fi due to the Winter Olympics. That's going to be happening for a little bit longer. So, hey, if you want to watch wrestling, make sure you know which channel is on and what's going on at the time. Now it's time for some quick hits. Drew McIntyre was supposed to have a moment with Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble, standing up to Lesnar and calling back to win. McIntyre eliminated Brock in 2020. Pro Wrestling Observer newsletter that was cut, however, because the show was running long. Sasha Banks and McIntyre were late additions to the Rumble matches, according to the WOM. The belief is Banks' appearance was kept short as a safety precaution due to her recent injury. They said it's short, but it felt like she was in there forever. But hey, I'm just glad to have Sasha Banks back. Bayley and Asuka should be back for WrestleMania 38. PW Insider heard Asuka should return this month, with Bayley returning in March. If I had to guess, if Asuka's returning this month, it should be in the Elimination Chamber match. Brian Alvarez says WWE is aware that the Men's Royal Rumble match was boring, and their plan is to make sure next year's match is not boring. Well, to guarantee that, the best thing you want to do is to have Triple H being one of the producers. So get H on the phone. Sean Rossap of Fightful says one of the issues with Shane McMahon at Royal Rumble was numbers got mixed up, and he got frustrated over the fact that Randy Orton told him he wasn't entering Shane's theme song. so he better get out there. Why would you be mad at that? Like, all right, they hit the number wrong. You're not supposed to go out. Why would you then be like, hey, this is not my number. Go out there, Randy, to my music. Like, everybody jumped up because they knew it was supposed to be Shane McMahon. And if Randy Orton came out, that would have been weird. So what are you doing? Like, relax, Shane. More on that, both Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar were unhappy after they learned of Shane's original plans for the match, which he never ended up seeing because it didn't happen. According to WrestleVote, sources state the spot Shane McMahon was going to have on the WrestleMania card was to be positioned near the top. Therefore, WWE now needs a new major attraction matchup outside of the titles. This goes without saying, but the WrestleMania card is still incomplete in flux. It's quite a Shane was rumored to face Seth Rollins at one point, and the word is that Shane had pitched a match against Austin Theory. I guess it would have been, Vince, why don't you love me as much as Austin Theory? I need my daddy's love. Shane versus current WWE champion Bobby Lashley was also rumored at one point, but there's no word on if it would have been for the title. This is why I'm guessing they're going really hard with getting Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn as a possibility, so they can have that other big match. But, when you're trying to make everything about something being big and something outside of the WWE, rather than trying to build storylines within and make that big, this is what you run into. On his podcast, Kurt Angle claimed WWE was going to bring him in for a 3-week program, but that changed at the last second. He doesn't have a deal with the company anymore. Ringside News, however, claimed that Kurt Angle was never in plans for WrestleMania, and the 3-week idea he mentioned previously was just a pitch and nothing that was ever approved by Vince McMahon. Now, if you know, he was in St. Louis for the Royal Rumble. I'm not sure if he was brought in just to have this pitch, but as we see, it's not happening, and whoever's right, it doesn't matter because it's not happening. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer said WWE officials spoke to Ronda Rousey after her promo on January 31st Raw. Rousey is being booked as a babyface, but her bitterness towards the fans for turning on her during her last run caused her to come across as a heel. Her work on SmackDown this past week is how they want her to be going forward. Just let her be real. Let's let her be a tweener. She can wrestle as a face, but when she's on the mic, she's doing her own thing. That's kind of what some of the best wrestlers do. Drew McIntyre is being kept strong for a feud with Roman Reigns after WrestleMania, per Meltzer. Injuries would keep Jeff Cobb out of action for at least the next couple of weeks. New Japan Pro Wrestling announced Tuesday that it has pulled Cobb from the remaining cards on its Golden Series tour. Cobb sustained a left patella tendon tear and a muscle strain in his left leg. So wish that man the best on a healthy and speedy recovery. On the Fight for Grassroots podcast, Will Washington said he was told WWE put restrictions on the language used for Mickie James' Royal Rumble appearance, namely that they could only say Impact instead of Impact Wrestling, and they couldn't use the term knockouts when referring to her title. Here we go again with WWE, and their whole weird phrasing of things. You can't call things titles. You can't belts and stuff like that. Like, dude, we know where she's from. Just say where she's from. Like, it's not going to blow our minds. Y'all throw NJWP, IWGP championship. But if I do remember correctly, they do throw IWGP out there for all the championships, but they never say New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's such a weird thing. Like, you tie them to what their company is, but you don't want to mention the company. It's really stupid. And I wish WWE would stop doing things like that. I got a question from Russ. He said, Fizz, how would the IWC react if Goldberg beat Roman for the title? I don't know how they will react because it's not going to happen. Everything before WrestleMania is non grata. And as I stated, I think it was 2 episodes ago or last Friday, contractually, this is Goldberg's last match for WWE. After this, he has no more matches. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to ramp it up a little bit more. My whole concept of how they would do it would be spear versus spear. Whoever wins has to leave town, which then guarantees that this is definitely Goldberg's last match. And it's the reason why he's only been doing everything, all the Saudi Arabia matches, because he's really only contracted to do those, which is why he did not pop up during the Royal Rumble. So I don't. We're not gonna have any of those. So we'll see exactly what's gonna happen. Gross also wrote who will be in WrestleMania rounds of WWE cuts. We will know around May. We, we know May is the countdown of everything. He writes, I'm thinking Goldberg will beat Roman with help from Brock. I willed it into the universe. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. Think the Brock is gonna be too busy trying to work with everything going on in the Elimination Chamber match. But I would not be surprised if Roman Reigns got involved somehow to make sure that nothing good comes to anything that anything that Brock Lesnar does. So I would not be surprised by that. Now let's talk about what's going on tonight for AEW Dynamite. This week's shows comes our way from the Jim Wellen Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Tony Khan has a huge announcement, as I talked about earlier, that we think of as who will face Isaiah Cassidy in a Face of the Revolution ladder match. We have Hangman Page defending his world title in a Texas death match against Lance Archer. We have the Inner Circle holding a team meeting over their future. MJF addresses his big win over CM Punk and more. Make sure to tune in to our boy Laylo going over the blunt ratings of what he thought about what happened the previous night on AEW Dynamite. So make sure to check in there. And thank y'all for coming in, kicking with me. If y'all have any questions, make sure to hit them before I'm about to go, because I give you about 2 minutes to do that. But thank y'all once again for everything. Once again, it's your boy Physics. I'm back in the studio. I'm killing things. Make sure, if you love hip hop music, that real good shit, to go on. Oh, I didn't even know my banner went off. The whole time I didn't even have the banner on. Ain't that something? But if you're going to, make sure to go to, oh, why is my thing not popping up? What? Anyways, make sure to go to PHZ-SICKS on any music streaming network. My latest single, Scorpion Scales, people are loving it. Make sure you hit that up. And anybody that's watching this, make sure to go to the comments, leave a comment of everything what you think about. Who do you think Tony Khan is breaking out tonight? And if you're watching this afterwards, what do you think about everything that happened afterwards and who this person actually is? We get a question of Death Row or Bad Boy. I would say during the time period, I was a kid during the time period, it was Death Row. As time has gone on and what I listen to more, it is Bad Boy. Because if you want to be real about it, if we do Death Row versus Bad Boy, we kind of have to do it around the time they were actually going at each other. So that really eliminates the Chronic and Doggy Style. The only thing in there is the Dog Father, and I'm not really a huge fan of that album. So there really wasn't a lot of stuff outside of Pac, and all the other good stuff like Michelet and everything that happened before. So it really is Bad Boy. Because Life After Death was during that time period. Ready to Die was during that time period. No Way Out was during that time period. Lil Kim's Hardcore was during that time period. So I just kind of lead more towards that. She's a Fizz, when you're gonna bring back the Aka, the AKAs. I think I'll bring back the AKs when we're doing all of the predictions. So the predictions for Elimination Chamber, expect some AKs. The AKs are good when I'm doing it in front of a crowd and doing it in front of the gang and getting a reaction from. So the AKs will be coming back. Bengals or Rams. I don't watch football, but I'm leaning towards the Bengals. Homeboy out there doing his thing. I'm an NBA fan, and as you can see with the NFL and Kaepernick and Rooney Rule, like, they do a lot of fuck shit, and I just kind of backed out due to all of that. But I'm leaning towards the Bengals on that. I will be watching the halftime show because it's Drake, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick. Probably 50's popping up. I'm tuning in for that. Daniel Rice, Khan needs to bring out some dignity and balls. He has neither. Maybe he's signing dignity and balls tonight. We have no idea. Is Nick Khan secretly related to Tony Khan? I hope not, because if he is, then maybe he's working from the inside. The only issue is he's made this company $1 billion. Maybe that's the thing. You make WWE a bunch of money to the point where Vince goes, I'm okay with selling. I'm out. He sells, and then WWE close shop, and then it's only AEW. That would be super diabolical. I don't think that's the case, but that would be crazy. But yo, thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate everybody in here. I appreciate all the questions. Y'all made this a fun news joint. Make sure to check in with me on Friday, 12 p.m. I'll be here. Daniel Price without Biggie, Puff will be a valet parking cars for quarters. Nah. This is the thing. I'm from the DMV area. All of the huge parties and stuff before Bad Boy was even a thing, when he was working for Uptown Records, Diddy was a huge thing here. And he was kind of already a huge thing in New York already with what he was doing with Uptown. History wise and everything, especially if you really want to get into it. Where is it? This big ass book here, The Big Payback, the history of the business of hip hop. It pretty much breaks down everything from Eazy-E, the first Sylvia Robinson who found Sugar Hill Gang, and starts from there, goes all the way to the present day. He wouldn't have failed. He would have succeeded in some form of way. And you got to also remember, Craig Mack was also successful. It's just that once Biggie came, Biggie just kind of outshined Craig Mack, and Craig Mack just got thrown to the back burner. So this is kind of where we are. And also, you also got to remember that the man had one of the greatest production teams of all time. The Hitmen were literally that. They were the Hitmen. Question is, if Suge never went to jail, where would Death Row be? I think they'd probably be in the same place. If you remember, Pac was on his way of leaving because he didn't own anything, and he kind of figured that out. But before he could do all his contractual stuff, that was the case, because this is the thing. Pac would have got too big for Death Row, and he would have done his own thing. It probably would have been Thug Life Records, and we would have went from there. So that's most likely it. But yo, thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate all of y'all. I will see y'all Friday at 12 p.m. Peace. Boom, boom. In the words of Westside Gun. Boom, 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 boom.
Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to know when we go live next. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestling on We, and thanks for watching.